Welcome to Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine. I'm your host, Jill Jardine, longtime astrologer, psychic healer, and yogi, masters in counseling psychology. Welcome to the episode, The Eclipses of April and May 2023. Get ready for these eclipses on Thursday, April 20th with a hybrid solar eclipse, and May 5th will be the full moon lunar eclipse with the moon in Scorpio and sun in Taurus. I'll give you the scoop on these upcoming eclipses, so stay tuned. Welcome to the episode on eclipses. I'm going to discuss the upcoming eclipses of April 20th, 2023, a hybrid solar eclipse, and the full moon lunar eclipse on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2023. Here we go. We're in eclipse season. I'm going to also discuss the difference between lunar and solar eclipses and what I call ecliptic fallout, or the aftermath of eclipses. In astrology, throughout the ages, eclipses were big game changers. They occur up to 4 to 6 times a year, usually in a cluster of 2 or 3 throughout 1 month, and then the companion eclipses occur 6 months later. Usually, we experience 4 eclipses in 1 year. In 2023, we have the solar eclipse in April, full moon in May, and then we have 2 eclipses happening in October 2023. However, there can be up to 6 eclipses in 1 year, as occurred in 2020, which is probably why it was such a difficult year. We were eclipsed. Eclipses trigger big changes. Why are eclipses such a big deal and game changers, both personally and collectively? Well, they certainly are a big deal if they happen around your birthday or even 6 months exactly away from your birthday, or if there is a particular planet in your chart which is triggered. Why is that? Well, if they're happening around your birthday or 6 months later, they're activating the sun degree in your birth chart. But there's other planets such as our moon, Mars, and if they fall on the same degree as a personal planet, get ready, major shifts in your life. So if you need to find out if these eclipses of 2023 are affecting you, get a hold of your wise and friendly astrologer, Jill Jardine, and I will look at your chart and see if you're being activated by eclipse. But if not personally, collectively, there's always big changes. Lunar eclipses tend to take things away, while solar eclipses tend to expose or reveal something that was hidden, both personally and in the collective. So this window of April 20th, 2023 through May 5th, 2023 is a powerful window of time which will have repercussions in the upcoming months as we witness changes in our personal and collective lives. Also, during this eclipse window, we have Mercury retrograde in Taurus from April 21st through May 14th, 2023. So that throws a little whammy into the ecliptic action as well. When discussing eclipses, it is important to explain the significance of the signs in which they are occurring. The solar eclipse on April 20th, 2023 is in the very last degree of Aries, 29 degrees Aries. So that would affect people who are born around the 19th to the 21st of April. The solar eclipse on April 20th, 2023, being in the last degrees of Aries, is Mars ruled. Aries is ruled by Mars. And with a solar eclipse, there can be aggressive energies on the rise. It's occurring at 12:13 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on April 20th. But weirdly enough, the moon transits into Taurus 17 minutes later at 12:30 a.m. And then the sun transits into Taurus at 4:14 a.m. that same day. So we can say this is an Aries solar eclipse, but will certainly affect the early degree Taurians, or be aware if you are born in the first week of Taurus. This is a hybrid solar eclipse in Aries. This celestial phenomena is a unique combination of a total and annular eclipse. As a result, the moon's shadow will fall on the earth, partially blocking the sun's ray and creating a beautiful ring of fire around the moon. Pay attention to signs and symbols at this rare celestial event. Remember, there is a shadowy element lurking. Although it is a new moon, it's not the best time to initiate something new, even though it occurs in Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, and traditionally, it's always recommended to launch something at new moons, especially the Aries new moon. However, this new moon in Aries is eclipse, so things won't quite take off as expected. And we also have that Mercury retrograding in Taurus. I think any initiatives that governments may try to launch or any aggressive actions taken by world leaders or governments will be thwarted at this time due to the eclipse moon. So don't fear if some major world issue pops up at this time. It doesn't have staying power. But this is also a karmic signature solar eclipse. So karma comes home to roost. Drama and trauma unfolds. Solar eclipses force growth, and they tend to activate that sign of the zodiac it occurs in because the sun and moon are together in that particular sign, Aries and Taurus this year. So with the upcoming eclipse in Aries, we know that Aries are going to really feel it, as are their opposite sign Libra, but so will early degree Taurus and Scorpios, those people born in the first week of Taurus or Scorpio. So get ready. This Aries new moon occurs at 29 degrees Aries. According to the Sabian symbol interpretation of Dane Rudar, this degree symbolizes the music of the spheres. The keynote is attunement to cosmic order. I would interpret this as cosmic order being the higher power to the little wills and minds of men. I think the great invocation states it perfectly, and saying it at this time will help with the eclipse fallout. I will have the great invocation in the show notes, but here it is. It comes from the theosophical tradition, apparently channeled from the ascended masters. So here's the great invocation. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men, let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. The great invocation as originally channeled. On May 5th, 2023, we have a lunar eclipse with the sun in Taurus and moon in Scorpio. This also marks the high spiritual festival of the Wesak full moon, which I have spoken about in other podcasts and will mention again in the May 2023 Astro Update. But in brief, the Wesak full moon occurs annually at the full moon in Scorpio when the sun is transiting Taurus. It is a heightened time of light flowing into the planet, administered by the ascended masters, specifically the Buddha and the Christ, who hold an esoteric healing ceremony on the higher dimensions of the Himalayan mountains to bless humanity in the coming year. So again, we have a theme that higher beings have our back during these eclipses, but we must invoke them, thank them, show them gratitude, do our diligence with our own spiritual practices, and not buy into the fear-mongering of the third dimension. During this lunar eclipse with the sun in Taurus and moon in Scorpio, Taurians and Scorpions are on high alert because of an eclipse occurring in their sign. In astrology, Scorpio and Taurus are money signs. Taurus in our chart indicates our value system and resources, which includes money we make, what we like to spend our money on, and how we cultivate resources and what we value. Scorpio in astrology relates to shared resources, money we receive from others, partners' money, and the cycles of death, transformation, and rebirth. So, with this lunar eclipse activating Taurus and Scorpio, there will be many issues regarding money or a lack of money, resources, and the economy. Scorpio, as well as indicating shared finances, is ruled by the planet Pluto, whose domain is death, rebirth, and transformation. So, this Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse portends more death, with more people leaving their bodies in the next few months. And as I have said, we will notice that more celebrities are passing away, which indicates that in the general population, more people are dying. Many will leave their bodies, but many will decide to ride the waves of transformation on Earth as she evolves from her third dimensional form into the fifth dimensional frequency. Each eclipse for the last 3 years, we have been getting closer and closer to this dimensional shift. And it's here now, thanks to Pluto in Aquarius. The Sabian symbol for the May 5th, Cinco de Mayo full moon lunar eclipse is 15 degrees Scorpio. Scorpio 15 Sabian symbol is children playing around 5 mounds of sand, which can be interpreted as the first steps of humanity's spiritual breakthrough. A very small number of people have awakened to a higher level of consciousness. However, they are yet as undeveloped as children, and many more may evolve. So, one thing we need to realize that the creativity will get us there. Humanity is on the brink of a new phase of being, and we are asked to call in our creative and spiritual powers and energies to make things shift. Quite an appropriate Sabian symbol for this full moon lunar eclipse on May 5th. So, a little more about eclipses in general now that you have the scoop on the upcoming eclipses and what they will affect for us collectively. Because the eclipses do affect the collective consciousness, our country, our society, and the world as well. As they mark turning points for collective humanity, they indicate change or big shifts are coming for better or worse. And they also show us that we need to look at the next 6 months following the eclipse to see what shows up. I've noticed it usually takes the month or even 2 months out after the eclipse to see the result of this eclipse pattern, whether it's in your personal life or in the collective life. There's a reason why the ancients, our ancestors, feared eclipses. For one thing, they saw them as big fires in the sky, or they would see the sun disappear or the moon disappear or a ring around the sun. And then what followed these eclipses were big weather anomalies such as earthquakes, hurricanes, tornadoes, and other weather phenomena. And this holds true still today. And then with people and eclipses, what happens is that people's shadow side emerges, and it's not pretty. Relationships can take a toll during eclipses and the fallout after them. Many relationships can break up and other changes, and there's many secrets to be revealed too. So this leads me to discussing eclipse fallout. In fact, it is suggested that eclipses can be so malefic that Vedic astrologers say don't go outside during a lunar eclipse. Stay inside, and if you can, meditate or pray. Also, on a solar eclipse, it's suggested to not look directly at the sun. Stay inside if you can. So, what is this eclipse fallout? As I mentioned earlier, lunar eclipses can take things away from us, both personally and collectively. Also, there are big things that happen during what I call the eclipse window. In the weeks leading up to an eclipse and for 2 months after, even up to 3 months after, people tend to leave their bodies, develop situations such as illnesses, or have things happen out of the blue. Many powerful souls incarnate during eclipse windows. The eclipse opens a big portal from Earth to higher dimensions. And if souls can choose their exit strategy to leave their bodies, this is an opportune time. And people tend to leave fast, suddenly. Maybe they don't even show symptoms that they were ill. So there can be a lot of shocks around eclipses. In fact, there are what we call the aftershocks of things like earthquakes. Earthquakes occur quite a bit after eclipses, as do weird weather patterns during or after the eclipses, such as tornadoes and hail, hurricanes, tsunamis, and other weather phenomena of biblical proportions sometimes. And as I said, there's a big window to the higher dimensions that can open up after eclipses, and souls can leave their body through this galactic portal of higher vibration. And these portals also create heightened celestial vibrations for those who are sensitive enough to receive them, where they can actualize and activate and accelerate themselves. Solar eclipses aren't considered as malefic as lunar eclipses. Solar eclipses usher in new beginnings. The electromagnetic radiations will be felt worldwide at the upcoming solar eclipse on April 20th, 2023. Sometimes around these eclipses, especially solar eclipses, we have a preponderance of solar flares. Or there are sunsets on the actual sun in our galaxy that are affecting us here on Earth, affecting us with weird moods, just feeling a little out of sorts, or just having strange, wild, and wacky things happen. What solar eclipses do for us as people on the planet is that they shine light on what has been hidden from individuals or from our society. The astrological phenomena that bring solar eclipses, or the astronomy of a solar eclipse, is when the moon lines up directly with the Earth and the sun. They always happen at new moons. Astrologically, when the sun and moon are conjunct, as we say, they're in the same sign. So you're going to see an activation of that sign in your chart. So if you're born around April 20th, a couple days before or after this solar eclipse on April 20th is going to be very important to you. It's going to open up new possibilities in your life. It could offer new beginnings. It usually takes us a month or two to understand how the eclipse is going to trigger us, or even to see on the big level what the new beginning is going to be for our society. The moon can block out the sun's light at a solar eclipse, distorting our sense of reality. Do not make any big decisions at a solar or lunar eclipse, as your clarity can be obscured, just like the sun or moon being obscured, and there can also be confusion. Eclipses clean the slate, whether the slate is your mind, your experiences, your relationship, and other situations in your life. So if we know the energy of a new beginning is coming after a solar eclipse, we wait a few days or even weeks before we start our new path. That is a good way to use the energy. Sometimes the solar eclipse opens up opportunities following a new directive in our life. On a collective level, solar eclipses are a very interesting time to see what shows up in the media. Lots of secrets are revealed and people will be exposed. And for those listeners who know about Sanskrit mantra and chant them and have listened to my episodes on Sanskrit mantras, there's two Sanskrit mantras that are recommended to chant during solar and lunar eclipses. And they are Ganesha mantras, especially at the solar eclipse, such as Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, and Ganesha and Durga at a lunar eclipse. So, Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha and Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. And if you are so motivated, chant both these mantras through the whole 2-week eclipse window. I hope you enjoyed this episode on the eclipses of April and May 2023. Remember to download, subscribe, share, and give us a 5-star review. This is Cosmic Scene with Jill Jardine signing out, sending healing cosmic vibrations through the quantum field. Da.